So number two, being that Zeus and I are in Georgia, Jon Ossoff versus David Perdue. Perdue is seeking his second term, and that he's a Republican. Jon Ossoff is a Democrat. That debate is going to be next Monday, the 12th of October. Thoughts?
So I'm going to tell you right now, this election results will kind of decide, or at least further show who of us is correct in regards to Georgia being swing or not, or moving. What is Trump's thing that you like to say? Positively, negatively moving towards, or
positively moving towards negative.
So, yeah, exactly. In regards to Jon Ossoff, if John, depending on how he think, because you know what, I'm not gonna lie. The Abrams versus Stacey Abrams versus Kemp. I think it put a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths in regards to Republicans, because there's a lot of people who are just like, look, even among Republicans, I think, who are just like, more of the center Republicans who are just like not about the party, they're about their conservative beliefs, and they're just like, you should have recused yourself from your responsibilities of overlooking this election because you were in it. It's ethically wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. One thing, for those who don't know what Zeus is talking about, if you're like from outside Georgia, in the gubernatorial race between Kemp and Stacey Abrams, which Kemp won, now Governor Kemp was the Secretary of State for Georgia, which meant that he oversaw the election in which he was running for, which there were a lot of ballots thrown out, a lot of people complaining that day of not being able to vote because the machine's not working.
There was a lot of voter suppression involved.
That
again, if this was a non-American country, a country in Middle East, a country in Africa that was dealing with this kind of stuff, we would be talking about voter suppression and voter fraud, or election fraud, if it was another country. But since it's the United States, like the UN and like the United States itself ignores it.
And even with all that suppression in the Atlanta areas or the outskirts of Atlanta, he still only won by like a percentage point. It wasn't a lot. So,
but enough for people to say like you still skewed it towards yourself, right? So, anyways, in regards to that, I think Perdue is closely aligned with a lot of the Georgia voters with Kemp, right? And Kemp is not. I don't think Kemp is that very popular among Georgians. I don't really think he is. I think people aren't liking how he's doing. They don't like how aligned he is, even though Trump is loved. It's funny, whenever somebody is a fan of, a lot of people who are a fan of Trump's don't like a lot of their politicians be aligned with Trump's certain policies. I don't know if you kind of got that. Graham is the same way, right? Where like they don't like the Georgia response to COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? They don't like the way that Georgia responded to COVID-19. They don't like certain things that affect Georgia, even though it's kind of Donald Trump's things. They align it more with the politician in that state than they do with aligning it with Donald Trump.
Right. A lot of that separation you see between people who vote for Trump and people who don't necessarily vote for his Republican down ballot compatriot.
Counterpart, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that difference is due to the fact that those people are voting for Trump because they like Trump. It's not about policy. It's like, I like this crazy guy.
Like what he says what other people are thinking.
Exactly. Yeah. He doesn't mince words. So that's why, right? And a lot of these Republican politicians have falsely attributed it to, I just have to tie myself to Trump. No, you have to be Trump if you want to get those people's votes, and you just aren't.
And that's why I think Mitch McConnell is still popular, because Mitch McConnell is kind of the same way. He's just a little bit, he doesn't say it as loudly, but he's just like Trump. Well, like go back to the number one, right? Mitch McConnell is like that, where he is Trump, where he does what he wants to do, disregards for other people, and then like people are attracted to that, which is to me is a very.
He's like, hey, if you wanted to stop us from doing this, you should have won the Senate, or you should.
Exactly.
He doesn't give an F whatsoever.
Exactly. So anyways, going back to real quick, very specifically with Ossoff and Perdue, I think the fact that what helps with Jon Ossoff, so when Jon Ossoff went in the primaries, we had a discussion on who to vote for. And the thing that you mentioned about Jon Ossoff is you think that Jon Ossoff is liberal enough, but center enough. He's liberal enough for the Democrats and center enough for Republicans who are willing to swing towards a Democratic vote.
Yeah.
He's more center. He's more of a centrist Democrat. So, and he's become a little bit of at least in Georgia, of a liberal darling, right? Like where they like to refer to him. So he has a little bit of an edge going towards him in regards to he seems a little bit more popular. Probably women like him because he's like, oh, he's a nice, handsome young man. Looks like the kind of guy that you could take to your mom. You know what I mean? Like, so
I was gonna say what helps too is he's approachable, if you will. Like, he's a slim guy, traditionally attractive. White dude, well coiffed or whatever. He kind of
look, honestly, he gives me like Kennedy vibes, like a Kennedy. I don't know if you see that, but he kind of gives me a little bit of Kennedy vibes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just handsome. He's a handsome guy. He's slim. He's in shape, right? He's very well articulated.
Yeah. And having the look matters in politics more than you think. So I think that helps him. And all the stuff
you're right about the looks.
Huh?
I was gonna say you're right about the looks because go back to Obama versus McCain. You had a very very old white man. I'm sorry, that's just what he was even at that time, right? And then you have Barack Obama, a nice, tall, smooth-looking black guy. It was just kind of like that look helped him a lot. So you're right about the looks in regards to Jon Ossoff.
Yeah. So all that plus what you said about people being still angry about that 2018 gubernatorial race. I think the shift towards the left of Georgia, I think that might be enough to win Ossoff this race. It might actually be enough to win Biden, to win Georgia for Biden. So this is going to be definitely, I think of the 5 we've listed, it's going to be the most contentious Senate race. Maybe even more so than Graham versus Harrison. So I don't actually have any deep opinions about Perdue, other than the selling and buying stocks based off of coronavirus information.
Useless.
Perdue, I really don't have any deep opinions about him. Graham, I do not like at all. Yeah. This Ossoff Perdue race is it's going to be one to watch on the national stage.
Well, I'll let you know right now. I'm still not buying the whole swing state thing, but that's something that I'm willing to be happy to be wrong about.
Yeah,
I'll put it like that. So we'll see what happens.
But what I've always said is it's more likely to go blue than Texas is, and by that, on that I will stand. Yeah, I think.
All right.
Even if Biden loses both Texas and Georgia, let's see which one he was closer in.
He only lost by 2% in Georgia, but like 8%. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So even though I don't buy Georgia being a swing state, we're going to go real quickly before we release the number one debate, which I'm pretty certain most people will know which one it is. But we're going to talk real quickly, even though I don't buy Georgia being a swing state. But there is something interesting that just happened that I think actually you might feed into your whole idea of Georgia being a little bit more blue. Is that so currently there's a United States Senate special election in Georgia going on, and instead of having a primary with Democrats and a primary for Republicans, what Georgia law allowed to do was like they're just basically doing, what did you call it, a jungle?
Yeah, it's like a jungle election.
So basically,
essentially everybody. You have a bunch of candidates in there. In this race, we have like 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans. I think a couple of other.
The main people are 3 Democrats and 2 Republicans. Okay, so real quickly, speaking of selling off of stock when you find out about the coronavirus, one of those people was Kelly Loeffler. Yeah, she did the same thing as he did. I call her an Ann Coulter ripoff because she just gives me those vibes. She is the current incumbent because she was put into that position by David Perdue. Kemp. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. That she was given by Kemp. It was because it was a seat held by David Perdue. I'm sorry, originally. So no, hold on.
Sonny Perdue.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm reading this thing as I'm speaking. So that the election is going to happen the same time as the David Perdue election, like this jungle election.
Actually, wait, who held the seat? Was it Isaacson or Perdue?
Isaacson. You're right. It is Isaacson. Okay. Now I remember. You're right. Thank you. Yeah, Brian Kemp elected her when Isaacson resigned in December 31st of last year. He's the one that he appointed her as the person who took over the seat. So basically until this election.
Yeah.
So she's technically the incumbent, right? And then Doug Collins is the other Republican. Raphael Warnock is a Democrat. So is Matt Lieberman and Ed Tarver. Although it seems like most people agree that it's really among the Democrats is between Warnock and Lieberman. So the thing I was talking in regards to, which is an interesting caveat, is actually Barack Obama has just recently endorsed Raphael Warnock, which has led to a lot of Democratic voters stating that Matt Lieberman should drop out in order to give Raphael Warnock the edge on the Democratic vote.
I do want to say one thing. So on Facebook, you know how Facebook targets ads, right, based on where you are and all that stuff.
And based on what they hear you saying in your phone?
Right. It's listening right now. So for about like the last 5 months, I've been seeing Matt Lieberman ads. And his ads are unique in that it's never really him talking. It's always his daughters. They'll be like, my dad is running for U.S. Senate, blah, 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 something like that. And so because he was the only one I'd heard of, I was like, well, I guess that's who I'm going to vote for. But over the past couple of months, I've been hearing a lot about Warnock. I had never seen an ad of Warnock till the football season started, and I saw one of his ads play on TV. But it seemed like a lot of Democrats were really circling around Warnock for a while now. And then, as Zeus mentioned, Obama released his endorsements of like all these different state races, and it included Warnock in Georgia, that's a big endorsement.
Remember I told you the graph about who was it? Graham versus Harrison.
Yeah.
Well, I'm currently looking at a polling graph in regards to Raphael, to all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So real quickly, I hate when they do like one red and one really dark red when it's a lot of people and you kind of can't really tell the difference. I was like, apparently blue isn't an option. So anyways, so currently, if I'm looking at this, Matt Lieberman was like in the 20s at the start of this. So it looks like, based off this, I can tell you alone that it seems like Warnock joined the race a little bit after him because his didn't start until so this is the beginning of the graph. His isn't right until right here, but the other ones are like already on that line.
Okay. So
Raphael Warnock, as of September, is the leading polling candidate.
Well, like
he's
overall?
At 40. Yes, if I'm looking at this. So hold on, let me see if I can show it to you.
No, it's not going to come through well. Oh, it actually comes through pretty well. Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah. Oh, wow. So the green is Warnock?
That's Warnock. See? Raphael Warnock is green. And you see where he starts off right here? His shoots up. And Loeffler is steadily staying where everybody else is right here. No, actually, technically speaking, you can say that that's either Doug Collins or Tarver. No, I think it's Doug Collins. Doug Collins is technically second.
Okay, so one quick thing, we know Loeffler, right? Because she's the incumbent.
I don't know much about Doug. I've heard of Doug Collins.
Yeah, Doug Collins is a congressman from Georgia. I believe either the Valdosta area or one of those areas. But he rose to prominence, and I think he did this knowing full well he was going to run for the Senate. He was one of the loudest voices during the impeachment hearings in defense of Trump. Talking about how all of this is a hoax, and he was the one trying to malign Colonel Vindman and all that stuff. That's Doug Collins. So as soon as I heard he was running, I was like, oh, of course, all of that makes sense now. He was trying to, increase his.
Well, we'll see how legit this Although I'm looking at one of these poll sources is the daily cost. And daily cost is a bit liberal leaning, but it's still pretty legit for me. You know, I still think it's a decent, and it just seems like a lot of them are showing Raphael Warnock. So hey, you never know. That might help out that with Georgia turning blue.
Yeah.
It might happen.
One last thing to add on this honorable mention, which has actually gotten as much time as our other numbers. One last thing to add on it is that if no candidate passes 50%, then the top two candidates have to do a runoff election in December. So that's why
I personally feel that. Aren't you the one that said that, or maybe it was my best friend who said that all elections should kind of be like that, at least for primaries, where like it's like when you have like 12 people going in, I was like, no, let's do it. Like that's just too many people getting canceled out.
Maybe so. Okay. Well, okay. So basically, the thing about if you don't pass 50, the top two go. The reason that's important is that's why it's important that Obama came out and made an endorsement. So the Democrats know this is the one person we should be going and rooting for.
And not only that, but that's also why it's leading to Matt Lieberman being requested to fall off.
Yes, because if we don't do that, there's a good chance, especially with 3 Democrats on the ballot, that the top 2 could be 2 Republicans, and then only those 2 will be on that final ballot, right? So going to what you were saying about it should all be a jungle primary. The problem with that, the problem I have with that is in a state.
No, you misunderstood. I'm saying whenever the primary has too many candidates, not every single primary should be like that. I'm saying when the primary. So if it's like, I think if it's more than 4, then it should be each election happens. You get the primary, you get the top. If nobody hits that 50% threshold, the same way. Maybe for primaries, presidential elections, maybe it should be like 70 or 60, right? But if that doesn't happen,
60%?
Hey, you never know. Hey, man, it's about the presidency, bro.
No. It should be a majority, right? Simple majority is 51 or 50.1.
51. All right. Anyways, so if it's like that, but if obviously Biden and Bernie get 40, 38 and 40%.
Yeah.
And and then that state, only that state should be, obviously not the whole entire freaking country. Just because it's just sometimes it's just, this is what allowed guys like Trump to pull ahead, like he starts winning slowly because he's the tallest short person.
Zeus, the problem with that, especially, and this year is a perfect, this year is a perfect example. You have an incumbent. So the problem with that is the Republicans know who their candidate is. They would only put Trump into the race. If you go, and we started with 20 Democrats, right? So let's say we say the top 3 Democrats go through to the general election. You have 3 Democrats on the ballot. You have Trump on the ballot. All the Republicans know that Trump's their guy. The Democrats split their votes amongst 3 Democrats. Trump wins. Easy like that. So,
I still don't think you understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about purely primaries.
They have jungle. Well, a primary is a jungle primary.
I know, but I'm saying it should be when it's so many candidates, right? When it's so many candidates, like this primary that had 23 Democrats at the very beginning, right? That Joe Biden or Mayo Pete wins because he got 38%, but somebody else behind him got 28%. It should be I think that's how primary should work.
That's how caucuses work, kind of. So caucuses, like if you don't reach this threshold of like 15%, all those people that voted for that person now have to pick someone else to vote for. I see what you're saying, but then you're asking people to come back and vote again for a primary.
It's your American duty.
I guess. But all right. Cool.
When it's convenient. It's the most important thing you could do as an American. But when it's convenient.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I guess we'll table that for when another state decides to do that. All right. Number 1. Kamala Harris, Senator from California, versus Mike Pence, Vice President. This is for the vice presidential debate. It's happening on Wednesday, October 7th. It's number 1 because, well, it is the highest office on our list right now, but it's also increased in importance of late because, 1, both candidates at the top of the ticket, Biden and Trump, are of advanced age. But two, there's been a coronavirus bomb that was set off in the White House, basically, and the president is currently at Walter Reed, being treated for coronavirus. So this brings into that question of, are you ready to be the commander-in-chief? So that's what makes this vice presidential debate that much greater.
I just want to say real quickly, it's adorable that you say cute words like advanced age. They're old, okay? They are old men, old white. I think both of them are over 70, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So they're both over 70. And then I think the importance with this debate, I think, is, you're right. The vice presidential seat seems to have gained a little bit more importance. One, on the Republican side, because of the fact of Trump is sick. There's a probability that he can't make it, or he can't continue his duties as president, right? Because this coronavirus does attack you depending on your age, depending on your health, right? And then Donald Trump is not healthy of an individual at all. He's overweight. I think they said that he's technically speaking morbidly obese.
Yeah.
But he's definitely obese. Is he morbidly obese, technically speaking?
That's what I've heard, morbidly obese. Yeah.
So he's morbidly obese. He has high blood pressure. So there's a possibility that it could cripple him to the point where he can't continue his duties as president. Obviously, none of us here are going to wish, for the supposedly the Simpson episode being correct, because they said that in the Simpson episode. Me and Zeno still, I have never seen that episode, so I don't know 100% if it's
I
true
saw
that
a picture of it
in that episode.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him in the casket, but I was like, I can never tell, because I've seen those Simpson predictions, which are real, like from episodes that like Trump became president. I've seen that, but then I've also seen other predictions that they're like, no, this was drawn after the fact or something like that. So it's
but don't know. But there's a possibility that Pence has to carry on the presidential duties, right? And then there's also with Harris, right? Harris was brought in. One of the things that, and one of the things we're going to talk about later on is in a few minutes is the election, right? But one of the debate, is Donald Trump talked about law and order, right? Honestly, one of the reasons why they brought Harris in as the Democratic vice presidential candidate was because, all right, you want to talk about how Joe Biden isn't about law and order? We brought in someone who people call a cop. That's law and order, right? So Harris is the law and order
former Attorney General of California.
Yeah, so they have that in there, right? So, and then there's a lot of me and Zeno have spoken on this. I don't recall if it was on the podcast or if it was in just private, but there seems to be this whole notion of Joe Biden's not going to make it through his entire presidency, and Harris will become the president. Yeah. Or at least Joe Biden won't run for a second term, and it'll be Harris who will be swept in as the.
I fall into the latter camp more. I'm not of the belief that Biden is so close to death that he will make it 4 years.
I just want to know why people are killing him off the.
right. I know, right?
Killing him off. I'm
like Jimmy Carter didn't just turn 96. Like people grow old, right? I don't believe Biden is that close to death that he's not going to survive his first term. However, I do believe that Biden is not going to run for a second term. I actually don't think it's something he wants. Obviously, I don't know him. I'm just speculating here. I think Biden's primary objective was get this dude out of office. Everything else is afterwards. What did you say?
You know what I said.
No, I actually have the
his first objective was to not let Bernie win, and then the second one is to get Trump. Don't give me.
No, it's Trump first. I feel like.
Okay. So Bernie second. Thank you. I'm glad you admitted it, sir.
Maybe.
I'm glad you finally admitted it.
It's definitely Trump first. Anyways, maybe Bernie.
Yeah. No, it's definitely Bernie too. But anyways, go ahead. But there is that importance of, and then plus it's what happened recently in the last what was that Thursday or Tuesday or Wednesday that the debate happened?
Tuesday.
Where now they're like people are like going to pay close attention. It was like, so can we have a normal election, right? Can we a normal debate where people actually answer the questions opposed to this Donald Trump acting like a pre-adolescent child? So there's that importance.
There's absolutely no way in hell that this debate turns out anything like last Tuesday.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't.
No way.
because Mike Pence, first of all, he talks like this, and then Harris is just you can't do that against a woman of color. You know what I mean? Like you can't act that way.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't mean just that. I'm just saying like there's gonna be ramifications of sexism and just there would because it'd be like why are you acting like that? Why are you not letting this woman speak?
No, I get that. I get the possible ramifications. If Trump was on the other side of the debate against her, he wouldn't care. But what I'm saying is, even with that, Harris, I think her voice carries a little better that she would actually be able to shut him down. That's one thing that and we'll talk about it in the debate when we talk about the debate, right? When we recap the Biden-Trump debate. That's the one thing I will say against Biden. I don't think his voice carries enough to be forceful and like reclaim the seats or reclaim his time, And that's why it sounded like Trump was, being able to bully him around. I don't think they can do that to Harris. I don't think she would let them do that to her. So yeah, I think this debate.
And I don't think you can. I don't think it's a smart, at least for Mike Pence, because Mike Pence is a little bit more intelligent than Trump in regards to his image. Like he won't allow himself to. He's not going to let himself be catfished into that kind of situation where he's like, I'm over here. Yeah, he's like, I'm not about to act this way towards the first Black female to be elected to to basically the highest, or at least put on the primary ticket of the second highest position in a prime. So he won't be doing that. So yeah. I'm definitely. I don't know if I'm looking forward to it, but I'm definitely going to make sure to watch the Harris Pence one because I want to see what a normal debate looks like.
Right. we need some normal.
Our president made sure we didn't know what that looks like. So.
All right. So that was our top 5.